Thank you for joining me, fellow Guardians. This is Sam from Multiverse Mission Control, and today's quest is Foundations of Valhalla. So, first of all, I'd like to preface by saying that I'm sorry that these are gonna start becoming more infrequent, and that probably will continue to be the case because coming up with ideas is hard. And, especially since I'm still kind of trying to figure out what I want this vlog series to even be, you know? But I don't just want to come up with ideas just for the sake of sticking to a schedule, because then I'm just going to come up with word vomit, you know? Creativity doesn't just happen on cue. And I don't want to make something that I'll come back to years later and be like, why didn't anyone just do me a favor and shoot my misbegotten head off? Therefore, infrequent it shall remain. That being said, if anyone has any topic ideas that they'd like me to discuss, please feel free to share down in the comments below. As I said at the start of the series, I'm not a professional anything regarding gaming, but I do know good sportsmanship, respect, and the positive atmosphere that I hope to maintain. And if nothing else, just putting the topic out there will tie into things that we need to consider moving forward, and that we never even knew we need to consider moving forward. It'll be out there to begin more openings to discussions surrounding gaming, sort of thing. I'll always welcome input given in good faith. Now, to the topic at hand, my idea for this episode was basically to give a primer for more experienced players on interactions in competitive games with new players. For a new player, learning a new game can be a daunting experience, which just ramps up to plain scary when you're being watched by other people. Even people who are well versed in other games may not feel comfortable learning on the fly in a group setting. So, now this is not an exact science, because different groups of friends tend to have their own unspoken or otherwise established ideas of what is or is not acceptable, and you probably know that better than I. But for the most part, especially with people you're just getting to know, I think it's important to know how to pave the path so that this is not like a do-or-die test to them. Just a couple of blokes having fun. Now, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. In an informal multiplayer event, you should not operate under the idea that you're there to win. That will mess everything up. You're there to have a good time, right? And if you, the experienced player, just rip a newbie up and they walk away feeling defeated and sad, well, that's gonna catch, isn't it? Gonna have a bad time. So the first word is patience, patience, patience. And I cannot stress that enough. When you decide to help a newbie out, expect them to suck. Like, all caps, suck. And I can already hear the eye rolls. Like, well, of course they'll have a little trouble. Or, I had a bit of difficulty picking up the tricks too. No. I mean, absolute base zero. They may not be able to jump good. They may not know how to work the camera. They may take forever to walk down a corridor. That's what I'm talking about. That's the level I'm talking about. And you will be patient with them. Why? Well, if you're going to tell me that you have never made a really stupid, embarrassing mistake when you were learning to play a game, I'm gonna call you a bold-faced liar and smack you through the screen. I'll do it. Don't test me. And did you get better because everyone told you you sucked? I doubt it. I think someone was there for you. Whether it was a family member, a friend, or just game FAQs. Someone was there to make the logic click for you. Just remember how helpless you initially felt when you were learning everything, and it was all alien and foreign to you, and just recognize that that is happening all over again, right next to you. Just flex your empathy a bit, yeah? So you don't let a weary sigh creep into your voice, you don't let yourself sound frustrated, you don't get sarcastic or demean them in any way. Just laugh it off and try again. Keep a palliative tone of voice. Rethink your phrasing. Praise the little victories, because that is what gaming is all about, isn't it? The little personal successes, after all. It can mean a lot to a person to know that you just kept trying and didn't give up on them when things got difficult. Now, if you are facing off, you should of course try to win. I'm not saying to give up on winning. Nobody likes a win handed to them out of pity. They like a win where they legit overcame an obstacle, or a loss where they at least came closer to doing so. But just remember that winning may not always be your highest priority. So if someone needs some extra coaching to be able to put their best foot forward, my advice is just to take the hit. Take one hit. Like, maybe you don't concentrate on your own efforts at 100% because you've just thought of the perfect way to describe something to somebody. That is admirable. Because you know what? The strong do not take others down. They build up those around them. And then you kick their butt. Because then they'll be able to accept it. They know what they're doing now. Because you want to know what happens when you don't tell them what to do? Well, to use some non-video game examples, would you play darts with someone without explaining how the points work? Would you play a board game without explaining the rules first? Would you play soccer without explaining what offsides was? Well, of course not. That wouldn't be fair, would it? Then why would you give yourself an unfair advantage by not explaining how controls or mechanics work? It's kind of the same thing. I mean, first of all, you should already be nodding your head, but just in case you need a worst-case scenario in your face to know exactly what it is you're trying to avoid, I refer you to this wonderful video by the artist Imogen Scopey in tribute to the Game Grumps. She illustrates an old moment from the JonTron era. Aaron and John are playing Nickelodeon Guts on SNES, and John figured out the trick to the game, but he won't take a moment to explain it to Aaron, who is still struggling to figure it out. Basically, his entire argument is that they've had the same amount of time, and it's just a dumb game, so why should it matter? Well, you can see how well that goes. But more than that, can you yourself even accept a win like that? A win in which you just automatically win. That's fulfilling to you. Let me refer you to the anime One Punch Man. The protagonist, Saitama, became a hero for fun, but one day, he became too strong. He can now end every fight in one punch, and one punch means one punch. Like, if Goku or Superman were in the ring with this guy, the actual fight would be a half second. That real. Is Saitama happy that he's achieved this great titanic strength? Well, no. Because it's not fun anymore. There's nothing at stake. He knows the ending before he's even begun. He's not growing, he's not being challenged, he's just stagnating. And, like, the dude is depressed and struggling to find meaning in his life anymore. As my brother put it, he is losing a battle with nihilism right now. So, do you want to do that to yourself? Like, do you want the game you used to play with wonder in your eyes to leave you asking, what the heck am I even doing with my life right now? Leave an opportunity for the student to surpass the master. Does the thought not excite you? Like, I never took it easy on people when I was playing Smash Bros. In college at the good old Legion of Allegheny Gamers, or LAG, but I always made sure to answer people's questions. I always made sure they knew what they were doing. I made sure we started and stayed on equal footing the whole time. And if I hadn't, I would have ended up playing alone forever against the computer. Because who would want to play with me when they knew they would just get beat all the time? And eventually I'd get bored to tears of the game. So if I want to play Smash Bros. With my friends, but they don't want to play with me, and I don't know anybody else I can play with, well, where does that leave me? Saitama. But do you know what happened? You know what happened instead? Because I ensured it stayed fair? After a year or so, the club started filling up with this badass elite that I would be proud to call my prodigal students. 'Cause they got tested in the friggin' crucible that was my power, but tempered by my guidance and encouragement. I felt like Korra-sensei from Assassination Classroom. I'm training you to kill me, and that is really goddamn thrilling. It's really funny, and it's engaging. And they ended up beating me with more frequency. And when I entered a match from that point on, I couldn't tell you how it was going to end. The conversation changed from, oh, Sam is obviously going to win, to, Sam, stop playing around with him. I'm not playing! Max is good! So take the hit. Make it interesting. Now, if things are really one-sided, you might consider handicapping yourself a bit. Like, it's not the same as pity if you set it for, like, just the next few matches, or so until they understand it better, you know? Like how a boss in a game or a villain in an anime might have multiple stages. You start off easy and get progressively more difficult when it looks like they're improving. Maybe the game has an option where you start with less health, for example. Maybe you refuse to use a cheap, easy win type of move. For example, in Smash Bros, I don't tend to Meteor Smash. Like, even against most good opponents, unless I'm, like, about to die, because I feel like that ends it too quick. It don't feel right. I don't get to savor the experience at all. Like, basically, don't force the shonen protagonist from the beginning of the series to take on the final boss in the last chapter. You know what I mean? You dig it? That's not satisfying on your end, and it's not fair to the person you're facing up against. So that's all I'm saying. A true victory doesn't come from stacking the deck in your favor and staying on top forever. It's about introducing enough uncertainty into the game that you're constantly working for it. And if you can progress with this person enough to get them off the training wheels and let them show you what their true potential really is, ooh, words are insufficient. I was proud, I was determined, I was eager, excited to see my friends get good. And as they say, the student also teaches the master, so they helped me gain a new appreciation for the game with perspectives I hadn't even considered up to that point. The simple fact is that the fight meant something again. How wonderful it is to be something, right? And that's why we play. And you can give the same experience to a new player from the opposite direction. Come Valhalla, you will know all too well that you can trust this person at your side or eagerly await your next duel. So, thank you all for tuning in. Please comment and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. And remember, you all have the potential to get good. Peace out.